welcome back to my channel. To start, I just watched Yoongi's final D-Day tour encore concert, and let me tell you, the emotions were high. I sobbed. Yoongi sobbed. It was just such a raw performance. Like, you could tell he'd been feeling all of those songs for all the shows he's done, and then he just let it out, and it was kind of beautiful, but also I was inconsolable. Jin, Hobi, Namjoon was there. He performed. His new song sounds amazing. It sounds so up my street, so I'm very excited. I just love BTS, and yeah, I'm proud of Yoongi. And anyone who says, but you don't even know him, how can you be proud of someone that you don't even know? Well, if you're ARMY, you'll understand. I just know there's people out there who understand what I'm saying, you know? Anyway, I just had to simp over BTS for a minute. So I was missing Disneyland. When am I not missing Disneyland? And I decided to write a list of my top 10 favourite Disney rides. I just find it very interesting because any Disney Parks fan, if you ask them to list their favourite rides, every single one would be different and for different reasons, and I just love that. Half of mine are sentimental reasons, and the other half is because I think it's a good roller coaster. So yeah, let's go. Also, I got this recently from Shop Disney because it's just perfect. I love it. In at number 10 is Toy Story Mania. The first time I rode it 10 years ago, I was a bit like, yeah, it was fine. It was just a shooter ride, like, they were never my favourite. But this time around, I loved it. It was so fun, and I'd forgotten how fun it was. I also love the queue. Queues play a big part for me in how much I, like, gravitate to a ride. Like, the queue is so important. So yeah, number 10, Toy Story Mania. Coming in at number 9 is Haunted Mansion / Phantom Manor. So I love both Haunted Mansion in Florida and Phantom Manor in Paris because they're different. They have different storylines, the characters are different. I don't think I could choose a favourite between the two of them, but that is my number 9. I know that's probably quite low, and it's literally my dad's favourite ride, so I'm sorry. I'm not the biggest Halloween person, so, and like kind of scary, creepy things. It's not creepy. Like, it's not that creepy a ride. I mean, maybe when I was a child I thought it was slightly creepy, but yeah. Number 9, Haunted Mansion, because it's a classic. Okay, number 8 for me is Flight of Passage. That also might be quite low for some people, but I only rode it for the first time in March because it wasn't open the first time I went to Walt Disney World. I loved it. The theming was incredible, like next level, felt like you were there. All the smells, like I understand now the fascination and obsession with the smell of that ride because we ended up buying a candle of it when we got home. 3D rides are not my favourite style of ride. That one kind of was different because it was so immersive. I loved the feeling of the Banshee, like breathing, everything like that just made it amazing. But there's definitely other rides because I didn't have that much nostalgia for it. That's why it's quite low on my list. But it was incredible. It's an incredible ride, and I didn't actually cry. I teared up, but I surprisingly did not cry. Okay, my number 7 is also another ride that I only rode for the first time just then, and that is Slinky Dog Dash. I freaking loved that ride. Like, I always wondered why the queues were so long. I never got it. I was like, it must be good because the queues are so long, but maybe it's more aimed at kids. Like, I mean, I guess it is aimed at kids, but it's a good roller coaster. If that was your child's first bigger coaster, that would be sick. I just loved it. It was just so fun. I loved the way that it moved. I would say it's probably worth the wait. I think we queued maximum an hour for it because we went on it at night. That's another thing, it is so good at night. At night time you can get on it way quicker. But yeah, I just think it's such a great ride. It's so fun, and who doesn't want to ride on the back of Slinky Dog? So yeah, number 7, Slinky Dog Dash. We're nearing the halfway point. My number 6 is a Disneyland Paris exclusive Crushes coaster. Now, if you have not been to Disneyland Paris, and to be honest, Disneyland Paris gets a lot of hate because it's not the biggest park, it doesn't have the most rides or things, but I love Disneyland Paris. I think because it's the one I've been to, like I've been to it quite a few times now, and they do have better versions of rides. I'll get to that later, but Crushes coaster is the most fun ride. It's unexpected. I remember the first time I went on it when I was younger. I think the first time I went to Disneyland Paris I was 10, so that was the first time I went on that ride, and it just blew my tiny mind, and I just wanted to go on it again and again. But the queues for it are crazy, but it is definitely worth it. If you haven't been to Disneyland Paris and you don't know Crushes coaster, search for a POV of it right now. You're riding on the back of a shell and it spins. The only thing about that ride that gets me is so basically you go through the scene in the Finding Nemo movie where it's the submarine with the sharks and the bombs, and I hate submarines and underwater shipwrecks. I hate that. So that first kind of part of the ride, I just have to not look, because no thank you, it really freaks me out. But yeah, that is my number 6 ride. It definitely could be higher, but there are other rides that they just mean more to me and I just love. Okay, we've reached the halfway point. I'm gonna give an honourable mention to not a Disney ride but a Universal ride, Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, Magical Creature, whatever it's called. That ride really blew my mind. I loved it so much. If I was to choose a ride to go on again out of every single roller coaster in the world right now, I would pick Hagrid's. Just because there's so many parts to it. It's really fast, which I loved. It's not like a big upside down, lots of spins coaster. It's themed really well, and there's so many different elements to it. And also riding it at night, again, there's so many rides that, like, if you ride it at night, it's a completely different experience. The queue for that ride was so good, so well themed. That's my honourable mention. Okay, number 5, we've made it to the top 5. So number 5 for me is Pirates of the Caribbean, but in Disneyland Paris. I'm sorry, but Disneyland Paris's Pirates is superior to Florida. Said what I said, sorry, it just is. It's longer, there's more drops. I just prefer the Paris one. The queue, the queue in Paris is definitely better actually, because the one in Florida, the first half of the queue is just for the second half of the queue they are pretty similar. I just think that the layout of the queue in Paris is better, that you're more immersed in it quicker. I love the Pirates movies, so of course I'm gonna love the ride. The smells, the water smell, I spoke about that so much. I can smell the water of Pirates. I wish you could smell the smell that I am smelling. I wish I could bottle it. Your favourite smelly smell that smells smelly. I bought a wax melt that was supposedly the smell of the water. It even said it was like chemical smell or something was one of the notes, but it does not smell like the ride, I'm sorry. If you're like a thrill seeker, that's not the ride for you. But I like some water rides that don't spray water into your eyeball, naming no names, but Dudley Do Right, I'm not a fan. So yeah, number 5 is Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland Paris. Number 4 for me, this I really love this ride. It might not be the best ride, like the most thrilling ride, but number 4 is Ratatouille. There is no surprises that Ratatouille is in my top 5 because I love Paris, I love Remy, I just love that film. I used to love the game. Ratatouille is just very special to me because it's Paris and the music, like, top tier. Also, the queue is great. The whole area, both in Paris and in Epcot, the whole Ratatouille extension is just chef's kiss. The last time I was in Disneyland Paris, I walked into the queue and basically just broke down in tears because the section where there's the Paris rooftops, the sign, the Gusto sign is over. I just love it. That's where I would live. If I had to choose a place in Disney to live, I would live there, I think. And the ride is so fun. The smells, the storyline, all the giant vegetables and fish and the smell of oranges in the freezer, like, I love it. It may not be the thrilliest of thrill rides, but it is my number 4. My Ratatouille. My Remy. Okay, top 3. We've made it to the top 3. Yeah. So coming in at number 3 for me is Expedition Everest. That ride is so good. It's so fun. It's obviously a bit more of the thrilling if you're not a roller coaster fan. Probably not for you. There are bigger rides and scarier rides, but Expedition Everest is just great. The queue for Expedition Everest is incredible. That and the Kali River Rapids queues, they are both out of this world amazing. It's just, I just love it. The thing I like about that ride is there's, again, like Hagrid, there's so many different elements to it. You go backwards, there's a really, really steep drop, you're on your sit, you're like, it's just so fun. Though I really hate that Yeti at the end. I hate it. It's so alarming. Like, I actually got to the point when we were there where I just didn't look at it when we were going past it. I just really don't like it. I don't know why, it just unsettles me. And Hazel said the same. We both were just like, no, I don't know. I really don't like the Yeti, but the ride, chef's kiss, 10 out of 10. Love it so much. Okay, number 2. Top 2. We've made it. Top 2. My number 2 is Tower of Terror. Probably knew that was coming. Again, I'm gonna say it. The queue. I think if I had to choose a favourite queue, maybe I should have done my top 10 queues, but my favourite queue of all time is Tower of Terror. The music, the abandoned hotel, it's just so well done. They just went to absolute town on it. It is just incredible. And then the ride, what a good concept for a ride. I again remember the first time I went on it in Disneyland Paris, I was terrified. Like, I was 10 and I was so scared, but I loved it at the same time. Like, I love the feeling of like drop rides. I love it. Don't know why. It's just so great, and then you lift out your seat. Oh, it's so fun. That ride, highly, highly worthy of my number 2. It could have been number 1, not gonna lie. It was very nearly the number 1 because it's just amazing. Okay, we've made it. The number 1 spot. It might be obvious, but number 1 in my top 10 favourite ever Disney rides is Big Thunder Mountain. My favourite ride ever. I am also going to say for this ride, I think the Paris one is the better one. No offence, but I think the Paris one is better. I won't lie, they are very, very similar. I just think I just like the Paris one better. I think I prefer Frontierland in Disneyland Paris. Do you know what I love in Frontierland is how Phantom Manor is at one end and it is involved in the storyline of that Frontierland. So Big Thunder Mountain is my number 1. The ride is fun. The theming of the queue is great. The smells, all of it is just so good. And it's a very nostalgic ride for me because it was my favourite from the first time we went, and every time we've been since. Like, it's always been my favourite. It's like my special favourite ride, you know? Everyone has just a ride that they gravitate to and they can't explain why, but that's Big Thunder Mountain is that for me. And fun story, actually, one time we were in Disneyland Paris, the ride broke down when we were on it. It was a bit scary, I won't lie, but obviously they have the kind of fail-safe brakes. There's more than one train on the tracks at the same time, so we were stopped at, I think it was the last hill, and we were in the back row, so I was sitting there like, you know, if a train comes around the corner, this, like, we're toast. Thankfully it didn't, and we got to walk off the ride, but because of where we were, we got to walk through the underneath of the ride. I know that people will have uploaded videos of this before. It was such a cool thing for me to experience because I love that ride so much. So it was amazing to see the inside of the mountain, and we literally just got to walk down the hill, the wee steps, and in through a wee door and through below, and then back up out the tunnel that you go down and out. It was great. Like, some people get really pissed off when they get stuck on a ride, but that for me was, I loved it. I got to see the behind the scenes of my favourite ride, and not everyone gets to do that. That was my top 10. I hope you enjoyed. They might be controversial, they might not be, I don't know. Let me know your top Disney rides. I'd love to hear what other people's favourites are. I just think it's fascinating because everyone has different stories for different rides, different reasoning for why you'd like or dislike a ride. If I had to pick the ride that I hated the most, I don't want to spread negativity, but the ride I hate the most is Mission Space. I hated that ride. We got stuck on that ride and I'm claustrophobic. I'm claustrophobic, Darren! So you can see why I dislike that ride. But yeah, see you in the next video.